Shocking. Orbán's fake defeat to seize EU power, Ursula's throne shaking. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Global Perspective. A shocking leak is forcing Brussels to swallow its own words. And if true, this could be one of the boldest political performances Europe has ever seen. Viktor Orbán did not fall from power. Instead, he may have deliberately stepped back to clear the path toward the very heart of EU power. A defeat so clean, so polished, it feels like a scripted performance. A stage where the loser walks off, but still holds the script. Meanwhile, the seat of Ursula von der Leyen is beginning to tremble, beneath ceremonial congratulations and a strange silence from Western media. As if they know something isn't right, but choose to look away. Is this a calculated retreat to dominate the entire chessboard? Or a political illusion pulling all of Europe by the nose? The perfect defeat. The story begins with a detail that makes observers pause. Orbán loses an election, and appears before the public almost flawlessly. No outrage. No accusations of fraud. No calls for protests. A leader once labeled as hardline suddenly exits like a model Democrat. That's what makes it suspicious. Because real defeat always comes with friction, emotion, resistance. But here, everything was smooth. Too smooth. Some reports suggest this wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Polls before the election had already conditioned the public to expect his loss. And when it happened, no one was surprised. And that lack of surprise may have been the most important piece of the puzzle. Even more curious, major outlets like Reuters or Bloomberg barely touched the story. No debunking, no deep analysis. Just silence. And in media logic, silence is rarely accidental. The Trojan horse strategy. According to leaks, the real target was never Budapest. It was Brussels. Orbán wasn't removed, he was freed. Freed from national constraints to enter a larger game. The most explosive phrase, Trojan horse. A figure entering from within, carrying influence, networks, and a completely different agenda. If true, this is no longer about elections. This is about infiltration of power. A long-term strategy. Pieces begin to align. A private meeting with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Hungary receiving unusual political advantages. Strategic personnel like Oliver Varhelyi remaining untouched inside the European Commission. A withdrawal at the right time. The right people in the right place. If connected, this isn't a retreat. It's repositioning. The silence of power. What makes this story dangerous is not what's said, but what's ignored. A leak of this magnitude should dominate headlines. Instead, nothing. No reactions. No denials. Just a cold void. And that void raises a sharper question. What's too sensitive to touch? Because when a story is truly harmless, it gets dismantled instantly. But when everyone looks away, it becomes louder. Orbán's influence still alive. Even after stepping down, Orbán's network remains intact. Oliver Varhelyi, his close ally, still holds position inside the EU. No removal. No pressure. Which defies political logic. Because when a leader falls, their network usually collapses. But here, it stands firm. That's not coincidence. That's structure. The voice returns in Slovakia. Then comes another twist. From Bratislava, Robert Fico steps forward. His message. Familiar. Firm. Confrontational. Almost identical to Orbán's style. Blocking sanctions if national interests are ignored. It's as if Orbán's voice didn't disappear. It relocated. And that reveals something deeper. You can remove a man, but not an idea. The Washington connection. Then there's Washington. Orbán's ties with Donald Trump go beyond diplomacy. Hungary received exemptions others didn't. Trump even praised Orbán's successor, a strange move unless it carried hidden meaning. Not contradiction, but signal. A message that the game isn't over. Just evolving. The bigger timeline. All signs may point to a future milestone. A long-term setup. Right-wing forces rising across Europe. France, Germany, Italy, Poland. If trends continue, the European Parliament could shift dramatically. And with it, the balance of power. Ursula's position is no longer secure. And if someone like Orbán rises again, this time at EU level, the entire direction of Europe could change. Middle East. A new front ignites. Meanwhile, tensions explode elsewhere. Hezbollah intensifies rocket and UAV attacks on Israel. Israel responds with massive airstrikes. The border becomes a ring of fire. Evacuations begin. A second front is forming. US-Iran naval tensions. In the Gulf, US and Iranian forces are operating at dangerously close range. Fast boats, warships, constant pressure. One miscalculation could trigger conflict. And this isn't just regional. It threatens global energy flow. Iran expands the battlefield. Iran signals potential strikes on U.S. bases in the region. Not massive attacks, but precise, calculated ones. Difficult to predict, harder to defend. At the same time, Iran launches legal warfare, accusing multiple Gulf states at the United Nations, demanding $270 billion in damages, turning conflict into a global legal confrontation. Russia and China step in. Both Moscow and Beijing issue warnings. Touch Iran, and risk global escalation. Not diplomacy. A clear red line. The final pressure point. Everything now converges at one location. The Strait of Hormuz. A single disruption here could shake the entire global economy. Oil prices, markets, supply chains, all connected. And now, all at risk. Final thought. This is no longer about isolated conflicts. This is a network of pressure points. Europe, Middle East, global powers, all moving fast. And when the world moves this fast, it's not intention that triggers crisis. It's miscalculation.